Welcome to Savants training on administration. Administration. In the United Kingdom, administration is the main kind of procedure in UK insolvency law when a company is unable to pay its debts. The management of the company is usually replaced by an insolvency practitioner whose statutory duty is to rescue the company, save the business, or get the best result possible. When a company goes into administration, it enters a legal process under the Insolvency Act 1986 with the aim of achieving one of the statutory objectives of an administration. This may be to rescue a viable business that is insolvent due to cash flow problems. An appointment of an administrator, a licensed insolvency practitioner, can be made by directors, a creditor, or the court to fulfill the administration process. Moratorium. The administration puts in place a statutory moratorium. This moratorium can last for up to 12 months. This is a breathing space that frees a company from creditor enforcement actions, while financial restructuring plans are prepared to rescue the company as a going concern where possible. This may take the form of a sale to an unrelated party. Purpose: 1. Rescuing the company as a going concern. Note, this purpose is to rescue the company as opposed to rescuing the business undertaken by the company. 2. Or achieving a better result for the company's creditors as a whole than would be likely if the company were wound up, without first being in administration. 3. Or realizing property to make a distribution to one or more secured or preferential creditors. If it cannot be reasonably saved, the administrator will aim to achieve a better return for creditors than would be likely if the company were wound up, without first being in administration. For example, the company may continue to trade for a period while seeking a sale of the business or assets such as goodwill, trademarks, patents, equipment, the customer database, software, content or websites, or administration can be used to simply liquidate assets and distribute the proceeds to secured or preferential creditors where neither of the first two objectives are feasible. In administration. Once in administration, a company can continue to trade, but daily management and control passes from the directors to the appointed administrator. Within 8 weeks, it is the administrator's role to formulate administration proposals. Creditors are then asked to vote by a decision procedure to approve the administrator's proposals. If the administration involves a sale of all or part of the company's business, the proceeds, after the costs of the procedure, will be distributed to creditors in a statutory order of priority. There are specific rules regarding distributions, however, the general order is 1. Secured creditors, 2. Preferential creditors, employees, 3. Unsecured creditors, trade creditors, suppliers, customers, HMRC, 4. Shareholders or members. The likelihood of the dividend and its timescale will be in the administration proposals. It is worth noting that April 2020 may bring changes to the statutory order of creditors, as it was recently announced HMRC is to be a preferential creditor with respect to certain taxes. Administration end. Administration will end automatically after 12 months unless the administrator asks the court or creditors for an extension. Depending upon the administration proposals, the company may have been rescued and the company passed back to the directors, gone into liquidation, been dissolved if the administrator was only able to distribute funds to secured and or preferential creditors. What is a pre-pack administration? A company's main value may relate to assets such as goodwill or the company's brand, which would be significantly reduced once the company entered into an insolvency procedure. This can reduce the chances of business rescue. As such, the practice of pre-packaged administration has evolved. The term pre-pack sale has been defined by the Association of Business Recovery Professionals as an arrangement under which the sale of all or part of company's business or assets is negotiated with a purchaser prior to the appointment of an administrator, and the administrator effects the sale immediately on or shortly after his appointment. The difference between a pre-packed sale and a normal sale is that in a normal sale, the administrator markets the business and negotiates the terms of the sale after his appointment. The reasons an administrator sells on a pre-pack basis rather than after post-appointment marketing vary from case to case, but they often involve the following considerations. A pre-pack sale avoids the cost of trading, which means creditors receive more back. And indeed, the company and the administrator may not have the funds to trade. It also avoids the administrator taking on the risks associated with trading. The value of the business may deteriorate during administration trading. There may be other factors to prevent trading, such as regulatory problems. The courts have held that an administrator can sell the company's assets immediately upon his appointment, without court approval or the approval of the creditors, and he can do so even if the majority creditor objects. Courts have even approved transactions that, as a necessary evil, have made payments to the former management while leaving little or nothing to unsecured creditors. Prior to administration, and where potential purchasers for a business and assets are readily identified, a sale of all or part of the company's business and assets can be negotiated, with the sale being completed immediately or shortly after the company goes into administration. The insolvency practitioner will advise the company about obtaining appropriate valuations, marketing of the business, agree sale prices, and assist in drafting contracts already for the appointment of the administrator. A pre-pack. Statement of Insolvency Practice 16, SIP 16, requires administrators to report the full facts of the pre-packed administration to creditors within 7 days of the transaction. Purchasers may be directors, shareholders, or others connected with the insolvent company. Administration, pre-packs, and insolvency. For companies with real financial difficulties, administration is not necessarily an end to a business, but an opportunity for a company to continue in whole or in part as a new going concern, as demonstrated by this case study. Case study: Aerial Painters Limited, a bespoke specialist service provider that painted and maintained radio masts, plus other large structures of up to 400 metres. As one of only 4 providers in the marketplace, the director had built up a good client base, including blue-chip companies. One significant contract being the preparation of masts for the digital switchover. Unfortunately, bad debt and payment delays caused cash flow problems for the company, who then fell behind with their creditor payments. The insolvency team considered the main assets of Aerial Painters Limited to be goodwill, their work in progress, and their capability to work with an established client base. It was reasoned that these assets would be lost to creditors if the company went into creditors' voluntary liquidation. Therefore, it was agreed that the most appropriate insolvency procedure for the protection of assets and the preservation of goodwill would be administration. The business was marketed for sale by the administrators, and 2 offers were received prior to the deadline. The director had expressed an interest in the business prior to appointment, and the director's offer was the best offer received. The sale was completed with the following successful outcomes: sale agreed and the consideration collected, business and employment preserved, secured creditor repaid in full, dividend for unsecured creditors. If a company goes into administration and the business can be saved, some jobs can be preserved. A pre-pack administration can be particularly useful to ensure that the value of the business is preserved. So consider a company administration when there are severe cash flow pressures, but the business is fundamentally viable. There is a need to quickly sell the business as it is technically insolvent. Creditors won't agree to a company voluntary arrangement (CVA) or it's not possible within the immediate time frame.